What's up, everybody? Today in this video, I'm going to go through uh, a 3D AI model generator called Meshy. And I'm just going to do a little quick review and just overview of the free version and the prompts that I used, and just my thoughts on the free version of Meshy. And yeah, hopefully that interests you, and I'll show you what I was able to kind of create with this free model. Okay, so this is the website that it's meshy.ai, and I don't have any more credits, obviously, but you start off with, I believe, 100 credits, and when you want to generate something, it's about 10 credits. So you can generate the 3D model, and then you can tell it to texture it, and then that's also another 10 credits when you want to do that. So let's just take a look at, so it's very simple. You can go to my workspace, select one of these, like text to 3D, or you can go image to 3D, really up to you. And then you just got to type in your prompt here. And then, from here, you can here are your options, right? It takes about 1 minute, it says here, to like generate something. I think on average for me it was about 2 to 3 minutes to generate a 3D model. Maybe 1 minute is maybe closer to the reality of it, but from my experience so far it was about 2 to 3 minutes, and maybe I was prompting things at a busy time. Okay, so here are my prompts, right? Park, bench, realistic. So in my head I was like, okay, let's pretend I wanted to create a scene, just a little small little scene, right? And I was like, okay, well, let's do like a little park bench scene. So right away, I prompt park bench realistic, and this was the first model that came, and it had 111,000 triangles, which is way too much for something like this. Not something that you can put into a video game. Like, you cannot put this into a video game. I would just be way too expensive in terms of verts and faces and all that jazz. Okay, so and then here was the PBR as well. I'm going to turn off the wireframe here. Okay, so here are your options. You can show the grid. You can show statistics or not. You have this transition thing. You have the solid mode, base color preview, PBR preview, different environment scenes if you want, and then just the wireframe on and off. So the UI is actually quite easy to use, which is great for something like this. Okay, so that was the first thing that I did, and you can press this remesh button, and you can remesh it. And with the free version, it is free to remesh it, and you can select only the 10K fixed poly count target. And you can pick quads or triangles, and you can't use adaptive. You can only use fixed. So those were kind of the options that you have in the free version. And so, this being 111,000 faces, 55,000 vertices, like that's just too much. So I remeshed it with 10K as the target, and with quads to see the result. And this was the result. And let me show you the wireframe here. And this is definitely a lot more usable in a video game engine. Now, this still is, the poly count is still too much for what it is giving, but definitely more usable. Okay, so cool. So I'm gonna turn off the wireframe, and the oh, hold on, let me just go back here. Here are the UVs for the high poly. Not very usable, or usable, right? Okay, cool. So I was like, okay, sweet. Let's put a bike or a bicycle, right? Like in the scene. So this is what it generated. I put bicycle realistic, And the triangle count for this is 160,000 faces, 80,000 verts, which is again just way too high. You know, you look at the poly count, it's just ridiculous, right? And then I told it to, I made a mistake. I didn't understand the UI here. And at one point, I was like, I need like a tiling grass texture. And so I went to like texture here, thinking that like I'm generating a brand new texture. But really, what it was doing, it was actually going to take my prompt, which I think was like tiling grass, and it tried applying it onto the asset that I had selected at the time. So that's what this resulted to, which, park grass green here that I have. So definitely don't do that. If you're in the texturing section, you're actually retexturing the asset. Okay, so that was a huge mistake on my part. And then so I decided to do another one just to be like realistic bike texture to try and see if it could make me a different texture on it, because this wasn't really doing it for me, and it kind of came out with this, which honestly wasn't much better. So I went back to this one, went and I decided, okay, 160,000 faces was too much. Let's retopo it. And again, it does a pretty decent job at retopoing to make it a little bit more usable. Now the issue is obviously all the little the wheel hub sticks. I don't know what spokes, I guess. And it does it not the greatest job, here with that. But overall, though, this was the result. All right, the next thing I wanted to add to the scene was a street lamp. So it created the street lamp, right? So I forgot to mention that when you do a prompt, typically it will give you it will give you different options. So it'll give you like four generated ones. So I went with this one over here, and again, this one actually spit out a, compared to the others, a more reasonable triangle count, vertices and face count. Still quite high though, right? Realistically, that you would not even be close to this poly count. And then I just did the remesh on it for the 10K poly count, and this is what it came with. Okay, and again, I'm noticing the same things, and I'll mention it in the next section here. And then lastly, I was like, you got to have some sort of garbage bin, right? So generated garbage bin. I chose this bottom left one here to go ahead and texture it. So when it textured it, 343,000 faces, 172,000 verts is way too high. So I went in and had it remeshed to 12,000, which is still quite a bit for what this is, but definitely a lot more reasonable. And same with the UVs, definitely a lot more usable. Okay, so what are my thoughts? Like, what are my overall thoughts of Meshy AI, the free version, right? So first off, these are not final game ready models. I think it's pretty hard for me to say confidently that you can use the free version to make a final game. The UVs are, when after you've remeshed it, is pretty hit or miss, right? Like, this is like, there's a lot of space here that I'm just like, it's quite wasted, right? And even like this one is actually decent. Like, this one is considered decent. This one is no, like, you can't use that. And then this one, there's a tons of wasted space as well, right? So, 1 out of 4, right? That kind of passed there. The textures, when you're looking at the metallic texture here, like, I would assume that this handle would be like pretty much metal, but it completely misses that, right? And then let's go to this one as well. So this one does a decent job, but again, it's hit or miss. You're gonna want to have an artist actually go in and clean this up. Like glass, like the lantern area, you would assume like this is not glass, right? So, but forgiving, I guess. And then in terms of metallic for this, what looks like a metal garbage bin to me is completely black, which means that it's not metal at all, which I think that's incorrect. Like this needs to be inverted. Like this whole thing, in my opinion, is probably a metal garbage bin. So, do I see this being useful? And I think the answer to this is yes, right? Like, there is a use for this. If you are not an artist and you're like a programmer or you're a game designer and you need assets quick to throw into your game to help prototype, I think this is a great tool. But in my opinion, the free version is definitely not there yet, and that's on purpose. Like I feel like this is just smart business planning, right? Like here's just a teaser of what we can do. Pay us more money, right? Subscribe to our tool, and you're going to get access to more features. And so I'm hoping in the next, couple of weeks here, I will have the opportunity to actually pay for the subscription and see all the features and test it out further, and then do a further review of Meshy AI. And yeah, like I'm just really curious to kind of compare the two. It's quite intuitive, the UI, and I can see the potential of this tool. But the good news is no one is going to be able to just take this free version and take our jobs. I think at the end of the day, as 3D artists, there's still jobs for us to do in terms of creating quality, optimized, game ready assets that right now the 3D generators, AI generators, just cannot replace us at this moment. So that's the good news. And I am hoping that when I test out the paid version, that my conclusion stays in that way. But yeah, hopefully this video was helpful, and hopefully you'll join in for the next one when I do test out more intensely the paid version. Take care. See y'all next time.